Again. Good evening. Sorry to have kept you waiting. We were just stuck up with certain unforeseen situations, but thankfully everything is in control. तो जो चैप्टर 10 है उसको करेंगे आज खत्म. तो देखते हैं इसमें mainly factuals बहुत हैं. There are a lot of factuals in it, lot of programs in it. So this is something that you can work upon. And today, since we have been a little delayed and we are not in a very good situation right now, so what I'll do is we will keep one more session on economic survey after today, but today also I just thought that we should meet and do certain things thereafter. So in chapter 10 your actual topics begin from page 352 table 1. जो पेज 352 पे टेबल 1 है वो इंपॉर्टेंट है एग्जाम के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. टोटल एक्सपेंडिचर ऑन सोशल सेक्टर increased. This is the first feature from the table that we can keep in mind. Increased consistently from 32 lakh crore. It was slightly higher than 32 lakh crore in 2014 to 71 lakh crore by 2021. So this was one thing that happened. बोर्ड में जादू हो रहा था नीलेश, अभी मामला ठीक है. The heading is the heading for this sector is social infrastructure. You know, इस चैप्टर के जो हेडिंग है, you have asked me that. The heading for the chapter is social infrastructure and employment. You know, that is the idea. Social infrastructure and employment. Good afternoon everyone, good evening and Jai Hind. I can now see your chats, so thankfully we are coming back on track, but you know, let's get going. Within this, remember the expenditure on education, you know, within this the expenditure on education has been increasing continuously. You know, the expenditure on education has been increasing continuously. Continuously, and you know the good part is expenditure on education has increased continuously. Expenditure on education has increased continuously over 2014 to 21, you know, entirely, increasing from 3.5 lakh crore to 6.97 lakh crore. You know, this has increased from 3.5 lakh crore to 6.97 lakh crore. So this is one thing that we have observed that has happened across the place. So we see that overall the expenditure levels have gone up on whether education or overall social sector. Expenditure on healthcare has also increased. You know, that is another thing. On healthcare the expenditure has increased from 1.49 lakh crore to 4.72 lakh crore. You know, from 1.49 lakh crore to 4.72 lakh crore. Just keep these trends in mind. तुम्हें numbers याद नहीं रखने, तुम्हें values याद नहीं रखनी. You don't have to remember the numbers, you don't have to remember the values, you just have to remember the trends, you know, across. So just keep that across. Make sure that the numbers are taken care of, the trends are taken care of. So education, healthcare, overall social sector, the expenditure has been continuously rising. In absolute terms, it has been continuously rising as a share of total expenditure, and it has been continuously rising as a share of GDP. तो प्रीलिम्स में यही तीन सवाल हो सकते हैं कि सोशल सेक्टर एक्सपेंडिचर, एजुकेशन एक्सपेंडिचर, हेल्थ केयर एक्सपेंडिचर ये बढ़ा है या घटा है. आप आंसर करोगे ये बढ़ा है, भले ही ये एब्सोल्यूट टर्म्स में हो, एज अ परसेंटेज ऑफ जीडीपी हो या एज अ परसेंटेज ऑफ गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर हो. तो पहला टेबल हमें एक यही इंपॉर्टेंट अंडरस्टैंडिंग देता है जो हमें याद रखनी है. After that, you know, they talk about school infrastructure and all, which if you ask me, I don't consider very important from our prelims point of view. The numbers are very detailed. Two things are again something that you should keep in mind, that the school enrollment has continuously gone up except in the COVID year when it slightly came down. The school enrollment has continuously gone up, so that is another thing that we can talk about, that school enrollment has continuously gone up except in the COVID year. And the second thing to keep in mind, school enrollment has continuously gone up except in the COVID year. In the COVID year it has not gone up, but overall the school enrollment has gone up in the last 6-7 years. And the second is dropout rates have consistently reduced. Dropout rates, that is children dropping out of school, have consistently reduced at all levels except COVID year. Again, in the COVID pandemic year, that is 2020-21, we saw the problem that the school enrollment has gone up and the dropout rates have gone up slightly, but that is another thing that we should keep in mind, that overall they have been coming down. Remember, for COVID year we do not have factual numbers completely. कोविड ईयर के सारे नंबर अभी तक हमारे पास नहीं है. उसका कारण है कोविड ईयर के सारे नंबर्स इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि उस समय हम ठीक से सर्वेइंग नहीं कर पाए हैं. सो वी हैव नॉट हैड कंप्लीट नंबर्स entirely. So without COVID year, this is the value that one has to keep in mind at the moment. Also, the number of children shifting away from private school and into government school, has been increasing. This is from annual status of education report, because that is our only clue now in 2021. So this is about annual status of education report, which said that enrollment has improved especially in the secondary education age group, but it found that the children not currently enrolled in school has gone up. So that is something I need you to keep in mind. Some main features of annual status of education report as mentioned in economic survey. Some main features of annual status of education report as mentioned in economic survey. So they said that in the secondary school age group, in the secondary school age group, the proportion of enrollment kept increasing even in 2020-21. Now that's very interesting, because normally you don't expect that to happen, but the proportion of enrollment kept increasing even in 2020-21. The second thing that we see, in this case, इस बोर्ड को ऊपर कैसे ले जा सकते हैं स्क्रीन को? Any ideas there? Can it go? That's not a problem. ठीक है. So the second thing that we see in this, over the system, is that in the COVID year, again, the children aged 6 to 14 years are enrolled in school. Not enrolled in school increased from 2.8% to 4.6%. Now that is a very big negative. So children this is children in age group 6 to 14 years not in school increased in percentage terms. Children 6 to 14 years not in school increased in percentage terms. That's again something very astonishing we see in COVID year again, and there are the enrollment decline was mainly among 7 to 10 years of children, as economic survey tells us that the COVID decline has been mainly, COVID has seen the decline mainly among children in the age group 7 to 10 years. So the drop in enrollment ratio has been contained now, but mainly it has been seen in 7 to 10 years age group. सबसे ज़्यादा देखा गया इस एज के बच्चे ड्रॉप आउट हुए, and boys dropped out more than girls. So boys going out of school dropped out more than girls. ये कुछ फीचर्स है. अगेन देखो ये फीचर्स तुम्हें बताने का मेरा पर्पस एक ही है. We don't know what they will ask us in the prelims exam. So since we don't know what they will ask us in the prelims exam, we have to try and make sure that all possible factuals that they can put to us, we should have some basic idea on it. Now another thing that they have seen is that children in rural areas have moved out to from private to government school. That is the next thing that we have seen, that, and that is important, that children in rural areas, this is reversing the trend of last 9 years now. पिछले 9 साल से बच्चे जो रूरल एरिया में थे वो सरकारी स्कूल छोड़ के प्राइवेट स्कूल में जा रहे थे, और ये एक चिंतनीय विषय था. तो ये अब बदलाव देखा गया कोविड के साल में. So this is a change that we see after 9 years, that for last 9 years it was observed in every annual status of education report that children are coming out of the government schools and joining private schools. ये बदल रहा है. This is changing in the COVID year. So children in rural areas were shifting away from private schools towards government schools. The enrollment has increased in the government schools. In fact, it has been quite drastic overall. So in the 6 to 14 overall age group, the number of children in percentage of children enrolled in government schools increased by 6%. So that is as compared to private schools where it fell by around 8%. And there are 2-3 possible reasons that have been suggested, and that is important again from your analysis point of view. हमारे analysis के लिए ये ज़रूरी है. So possible reasons: 1, shutting down of low cost private schools. बहुत सारे low cost private schools शायद बंद हो गए होंगे क्योंकि कोविड में उनके benefits खत्म हो गए. So shutting down of low cost private schools which might have closed down because COVID completely put them under distress. Then second is financial distress of parents, and free service and meal facilities at government school. That's the second reason that economic survey highlights, that parents would be in financial distress and the schools can have a free service and meals facility, and that can just bring the children here again. And then the other function that they suggest is families migrating back to village. Families migrating back to village. So in that case, more children now in government schools in the village. So families migrating back to the village. So more children then in the government schools in the village. So these are the possible reasons suggested by economic survey. Possible, but we will have to do more research to make sure that we are clear on what we are concluding. But at the moment looks okay. At the moment. Yes, Nilesh, why not? Increasing poverty and unemployment. Vaccinations are included in the health expenditure, Amit. Okay. Let's see this then. We go ahead. Thank you, Pradeep. We go ahead. Then, after that, the ACER has been suggesting that there is a lot of digital divide. Those who have accessibility to computers, internet are doing well, but those who don't have that accessibility are not doing well. So if I call this the third point, the fourth is digital divide in education. जो शहर हैं और जो अमीर बच्चे हैं उनके एजुकेशन में डिसरप्शन नहीं आया, लेकिन जो गांव थे और जो गरीब बच्चे हैं उनके एजुकेशन में काफ़ी डिसरप्शन आया. सो डिजिटल डिवाइड in education, the rural children, especially poor children, suffered a lot in education, while the richer children and comparatively children living in urban areas could still to some extent continue with their education. So digital divide in education that has been brought about. Now then the economic survey goes ahead and mentions certain programs suggesting what the government has done to promote education. Then the economic survey goes ahead and talks about major initiatives for students in COVID time period. Again, remember, this can be a particular question at times, whether in the interview or in the mains exam, and in the prelims they can ask us one or the other of these programs. Prelims exam में इनमें से कोई एक प्रोग्राम पूछ लेंगे हमें, और इंटरव्यू मेंस के हिसाब से डिस्क्रिप्शन देने को भी कह सकते हैं. They can ask us to give description on this. So one is the launch of PM E-Vidya, and this was launched in May 2020. That is one thing that they say, that is unifying all efforts related to digital, online and on-air education. To unify all efforts regarding digital, online and on-air education. तो ये एक बात है जो हमें याद रखनी चाहिए. This is one thing that we should remember. Then the four components of PM E-Vidya are, अब ये सभी प्रीलिम्स के हिसाब से इंपॉर्टेंट है. ये फैक्ट्स इकोनॉमिक सर्वे में लिखे होते हैं और वो एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि आप इनको पढ़कर आओगे. So this is something I would suggest that you should keep in mind. So one is the Diksha platform, One Nation, One School. One Nation, One School. The Diksha platform that can connect or give connectivity to larger regions. Another is One Class, One TV channel through Swam Prabha TV channel. Now the finance minister this year has announced that there will be more than 200 TV channels created for this purpose. But that was another thing. One Class, One TV channel through Swam Prabha TV channel, and the finance minister has suggested that she will be announcing 200 more such channels in this year's budget. And then extensive use of radio, community radio and podcasts. That is the third thing that has been brought in. Use of radio, community radio and podcasts. And then fourth, for differently abled. This is again a part of E-Vidya, and mind you, all this you have to keep in mind with respect to the prelims exam. So for differently able, one DTH channel for the children. So please keep these 4 points in mind for PM E-Vidya. It is launched in May 2020, unifying all efforts of digital, online and on-air education. 4 components: One Nation, One School, the Diksha platform; One Class, One TV channel through Swam Prabha, the TV channel; use of radio, community radio and podcasts; and for differently abled, one DTH channel. So this is for E-Vidya that has been introduced. Then mind you, the other thing that has been brought in is National Digital Education Architecture, NDEAR. National, this is the second step taken for education during COVID. So National Digital Education architecture. And here, this is again an important step that had been taken, the idea of national digital education architecture. The idea is here that infrastructure for education has been launched 29th July 2021. Digital infrastructure for education, digital infrastructure for education launched 29th July 2021. Digital infrastructure for education launched 29th July 2021, and there it is planned that it will be a digital first mindset, and it will not only support teaching, not only support learning activities, but also education planning, governance, administration, and so on. So not only to support teaching and learning activities, but also, so teaching and learning of course will be supported, but governance, administration, everything related to education will be supported here. So digital architecture created for that. So but also planning, governance and administration through digital support. So this is the idea of NDIA that they have created. Now the point is that it will provide education ecosystem architecture through diverse portfolio system, that different places connected, hub and spoke model developed, and people reaching education in that manner. That is the basic idea of bringing in NDIA. And then they say that the other one is Vidyanjali, that is the other one that they have talked about, that is Vidyanjali, that is to connect government and aided schools through community volunteer management program. That is another thing you should keep in mind. This is another part, Vidyanjali, to connect government and government aided schools. This is the aided part called Vidyanjali, to connect government and government's aided schools through a community or a volunteer management program, through community or volunteer management program. So in that case, again, the idea is that and this has been launched from 7th September, launched from 7th September 2021, the Vidyanjali portal. So remember, government has understood the challenge that COVID has presented, and also the opportunity that it brings, that the community volunteers can interact and connect directly with the schools of their choice, and then connect it in a manner where knowledge and skills can be contributed as assets or equipment. So Vidyanjali portal to connect community volunteers with their knowledge, skill, equipment support, etc., to enhance education. Now, even from paper 2 GS point of view, these informations are pretty handy, because normally when question is asked about government programs on education during COVID, since the newspapers go weak on it, I see that the current affairs magazine go weak on it, and then the knowledge base goes weak on it. And these are your gold mines if you ask me. if somebody has read these now, as students I am sure you have read these, मैंने जो ये आपको पढ़ाया, जो आप पढ़े अपने आप, अगर आप इको सर्वे पढ़े तो आपके आंसर्स में आप ये बातें पुट कर पाओगे, which gives you a more holistic approach of doing things. So this is for the digital tasks taken by the by government to fight the COVID pandemic. Then when we take it further, thank you Mahesh, then we take it further, there is more to it, that then there are steps taken by the government to promote education during COVID. Steps taken by the government for education promotion, in 2021-22, the steps taken by the government for education promotion in 2021-22. Now, some schemes are old, but they have been relaunched in 2021-22. One of them is Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. This Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan is something that was initiated in 2019-20 and has been there thereafter. Now the government has notified that Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan will stay till 2025-26. So from 2021-22 to 2025-26, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan will continue. Now what is this Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan? This is a complete holistic education with focus on sustainable educational system, and teaching the children in accordance with the SDG goal 4. So this is holistic development overall. So this covers the entire gamut. It is a holistic approach covering entire gamut. Gamut is जितने भी phases हैं, जितने भी तरीके से पढ़ाई कराई जा सकती है, वो कवर करने की कोशिश. So entire gamut of education from preschool to 12th. ये सर्व शिक्षा अभियान का एक अगला स्टेप है. सर्व शिक्षा अभियान was total literacy mission. Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan is about an assertive aggregative literacy mission in which all possible methods can be developed. So it is an education in a continuum, continuous education होना चाहिए to achieve sustainable development goal 4 in accordance with that. So that is one basic idea. So scheme is not only for implementation of right to education, but also with NEP 2020 that all children have quality education access with an equitable and inclusive classroom. So not only right to education, it is not only right to education, but inclusive and equitable education. ये बहुत ही ज़रूरी बात है कि सिर्फ ये नहीं कि शिक्षा मिलेगी, ये भी कि शिक्षा एक जैसी एक रूपता के साथ और उत्थान कराने वाली मिलेगी. So not only that you will get right to education, but education which uplifts and education which is inclusive and equitable in nature. Education which uplifts and education which is inclusive and equitable in nature. So that is again something that has been introduced in Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Also remember, it is an integrated scheme with a total financial outlay. The finance involved here is 2,94,000 crore for 5 years. So integrated education scheme with financial outlay of 2,94,000 crore in it. So remember, gender equity, literacy and numeracy, total literacy for children, everything is a part of Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Support for early childhood care, digital initiatives targeting children, teacher education, vocational education, everything is a part of Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Yes, you can include these for your inclusive growth answers also, Shobit, no doubt about it. Now let's take this further. We talked now about the other program launched by the government, which is equally important, Nippon Bharat scheme. That is the second thing launched in 2021-22, Nippon Bharat scheme. Important program again, launched in 2021. So these are programs launched in 2021. This was launched 5th July 2021. ये जो निपुण भारत स्कीम है ये 5 जुलाई 2021 को लॉन्च हुआ. Under this, the idea, this is about, National Mission on Foundational Literacy and Numeracy. This is under National Mission of Foundational Literacy and Numeracy. तो जो ये समाचार हम पढ़ते हैं ना कि हमारे 5th के बच्चे सेकंड का सवाल नहीं सॉल्व कर पाते, उसको सॉल्व करने की कोशिश है ये. That our children not only get educated but get good foundation in numeracy and literacy. That is the aspect in it. So the Nippon Bharat again stands for National Initiative for Proficiency in Reading with Understanding and Numeracy. National Initiative for Proficiency in Reading and Numeracy. ये है निपुण भारत. That not only creating children who are educated, but those who have good foundational method of doing it. And it says that for every child by grade 3, there should be a proper literacy and numeracy establishment, so that if a child reaches grade 3, उनके basic पढ़ने लिखने की क्षमता, थोड़े बहुत अंकों का समाधान करने की क्षमता बढ़ जानी चाहिए. Solving numericals, solving literacy, reading abilities and all, that should become higher. That is the aspect of it. Good evening, Vikash. So that is the aspect of it that is higher within the picture. That is what they bring across in Nippon Bharat scheme. And they bring up targets for foundation literacy and numeracy. In the Nippon Bharat, there are targets set for schools and then taken to the state and levels across. So this is for foundation literacy and numeracy. So targets set for states and union territories starting from preschool to age of 9. This is under Nippon Bharat that we see. This is under Nippon Bharat that we see. And then the one more thing that we talk about in economic survey that they give you is Pradhanmantri Poshan Shakti Nirman. That is the other thing that has been launched from 2021. It's like a midday meal in schools. This was earlier called the National Program for Midday Meals. That Poshan Shakti Nirman, Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman. This has been introduced. This was earlier the midday meal scheme. Now it has been introduced as a Poshan Shakti Nirman PM Poshan scheme over all school children ranging from Bal Vatika till class 8th. All school children, this will be covering feeding for all school children from Bal Vatika, that is slightly before class 1 to class 8th. And again, the focus is that it will not only be about feeding the children, but also about making sure that in government and government aided schools, they get nutritional support, So for nutritional support for children, that is the basic idea here. But remember the name and remember the scheme it has replaced, and it is again implemented for 5 years period, where 54,000 crore for 5-year period 2021-22 to 2025-26, approximately 54,000 crore rupees given by central government and 31,000 crore rupees given by state government. So 86,000 crore rupees has been targeted under this scheme. So remember, these are the basics that you should remember in your inclusive growth answer, in your social development answer, in steps taken to promote education in 2021 answer. All these places, it will help you quite a bit. All these places, it will help you quite a bit. Then for higher education, they have put some schemes like National Apprenticeship Training Center or EPGP Pathshala or Academic Bank of Credit, but there I expect very less that they will ask you this in the UPSC exam, because they are comparatively more technical and less chances are there for higher education to be asked as a question. That is very less chance. So that is why I suggest that you can kind of avoid that, and it's okay if you don't read that. That's completely fine. Then remember, the pages 362, 63, the Skill India mission and all is a repetition. We have kind of done them n number of times. So if you understand what is Skill India mission and what is Pradhanmantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana and how they train people who are completely untrained and how they train people who have some basic training behind them, then these pages won't give you a huge value. So this is on education that we are covering. Now, due to the technical issues that we face today, I will keep the discussion here at the moment, and we will start this discussion once more. Ideally, I would have liked to finish it today, but for today, I think we can keep it here. And what we will do is we will initiate it once more. Wednesday is in my mind, and that day we will finish this chapter. I need 40 minutes to finish this chapter now, and another 30 minutes, 35 minutes for chapter 6, maybe 40 minutes. So 1.5 घंटे की क्लास वेंसडे को रखेंगे और उस दिन ये खत्म कर लेंगे इकोनॉमिक सर्वे पूरी तरह से. मैंने 10 क्वेश्चन अपलोड करवाए हैं इस चैप्टर से, आपको और 10 क्वेश्चंस दूंगा इन चैप्टर्स से जिनको आप यूज कर सकते हो. So we will then work it out. So Wednesday I will meet you once more and we will wind up on economic survey. Thanks a lot for your support. This I honestly want to confess that all these classes that I take with you give me a lot of energy, because I see you participating so wholeheartedly when I talk to you across. So thanks a lot. I'll see you on Wednesday. I'll notify you. I'll let you know the timings. We will make it in the afternoon sometimes, but we will finish it off on Wednesday. Thank you for supporting this economic survey venture. Initially I had thought how will I complete the entire thing, but thankfully with your support we have now almost completed it. So Wednesday will be done. Budget and economic survey, if you read the discussions I have done with you and if you see the summaries that we have provided you and the multiple choice questions, I hope it is more than sufficient from your prelims point of view. Thank you. God bless you. See you on Wednesday. Bye bye. Thanks a lot all of you who had been connected. Thanks a lot. Wonderful to be with you. Thank you Shobit, Abhinav, Varun, thank you all, Harmeet, Vikash, Babani, thank you. Thank you everyone. Your names flash up very quickly, so I couldn't take everybody's name as is my habit, but thank you everyone who has joined and thank you for being there. Thank you. Thank you, Nayan. Thank you Karun for saying it. Thank you Shwetang, thank you Sharbishta, thank you Shweta, thank you Chaitanya. Okay, bye bye, then I'm leaving you here. I'll see you on Wednesday. I'll notify you, and that will be the last meeting on economic survey. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye bye. I'll see you then.